Hello, hello. Well, here we are, Tuesday morning after the Midnight Massacre. We have a compilation of clips that I've shot over the past several days that I'm putting this on the front end because different things have come up over the course of those days, and some of the things that I've said in those other clips are probably kind of negated now in my head. Different things I'm trying, different things we've come across. So I want to address some of that on the front end. Talks a lot about the big loop that we're putting on in the DFW area. Midnight Massacre went awesome. We had a great time. I think y'all had a great time. Valley View was ecstatic, and I think you guys had fun with Valley View. So thank y'all very much. Midnight Massacre was a success again, and we're already looking forward to next year's Midnight Massacre. And we will be doing Chainring Massacre, Texas Chainring Massacre out of Valley View again in January. We do have a reservation sign up set up for that right now, where you can reserve a spot for the Texas Chainring Massacre. We're probably not going to open up actual registration until January 1st. I am going to scout some of the stuff for the big loop and some of the stuff for a potential big loop alternate or bypass or something like that. That should give me a good 45 to 50 miles of riding while they're working on the Jeep, so we're excited about that. Something else, and I'm not sure if the other clips will touch on this, but part of the reason we're excited about putting together this big loop in the DFW area is it's a route we want to have in place to kick off gravelguides.com. We want the big loop to be one of those routes, and we also have a Red River Texoma, Texas Oklahoma thing that I want to have both of those in place by September 1st, so y'all have some really cool content to check out with Gravel Guides, either on a self-service basis or to hook up with some guides to take you around on those routes. Along those lines, I'm gonna throw this out there right now. We are, and this is kind of a revelation that hit me in the last day or so. The original idea was to put out the routes on a self-service basis with lots of supporting content, where somebody that wants a solid route that's planned out for them, know where all the amenities and conveniences and maybe private land access or camping and things like that are all arranged, and we were going to charge a nominal fee for that. We don't know, maybe 15 bucks. Let's call it $15. You get all the downloads, all the information and stuff like that. We may still go that route. What we'd like to do is set up some of these routes as sponsored routes, where a sponsor comes in and supports that page for 6 months or a year or something like that. So anybody that wants to access those routes and those details and those amenities can just download them for free. Come to gravelguides.com, get all this information, and hopefully we're able to give tremendous benefit to the sponsor of that section as well. So right now, specifically on this DFW loop, if you think you might want to sponsor that, or you know somebody that might want to sponsor it, have them email me, Kevin. I'm at spinistry@gmail.com. One last thing before I take off on my ride, before I drop the Jeep off at Discount Tire, then take off on my ride. Something in the mail. We're going to call this mail day today. Yes! We have scored. Check it out. I asked for a hat, I got a hat. Thank you, Cantu Cycling Wheels. Thank you very much. You guys will be on my head for the next segment that we put together. Looks like there's a nice note in here. Excellent. Maybe some stickers. Sweet! If you're interested in sending me a hat, I'm open to it. Again, spinistry@gmail.com. You want to get the address, we'll take care of it then. I'm going to check out now, go take care of the flat tire, and I'm going to get a ride on. Peace! Here we are again. You know, I am all about two birds with one stone. By that, I mean, I always try to, for lack of a better term, combine my chores, put them together into one package. My errands, my trips, my visits, my appointments. For me to get away to drive 45 minutes to South Fort Worth for one task, it's less than efficient. That said, what I end up doing a lot of times is devoting a lot more time to certain projects than I was planning to on the front end. And I've caught myself up with that right now. It's not a bad thing. It's actually probably a good thing. But here I am driving myself crazy. And I think you guys are going a little bit crazy with this too. I am completely and utterly entranced by this big loop concept at the moment. Here it is, about 24 hours away from the Midnight Massacre starting. I had to go pick up some t-shirts, talk about that a little bit more here shortly. But then I figured out, it's like, hey, you know what? I got to go pick up these t-shirts. This is on the far side of the Metroplex than I regularly get to, and it's pretty darn close to some of the stuff I have sketched out for the big loop that I'm not familiar with at all myself. So guess what I'm going to do? Pick up t-shirts and scout the big loop. So right now we're at Cravens Park in the south side of south end of Arlington, excuse me. Never been here before in my life. We have a nice paved trail, according to the maps, that comes out here for some stuff that we're wanting to do for the big loop. But the reason I want to scout this part specifically, we're working really, really hard on that loop course, on that loop route, to minimize time on the roads. If there's a paved trail, we're going to use it, is kind of the general approach we're going to take. On top of that, if there's not a paved trail, but we're sending you down a road, we want to make sure it's a super, super safe road, or at least as safe as possible. Or, worst case scenario, maybe it's not the safest road possible, but there's actually a decent sidewalk. We're not encouraging people to ride on sidewalks. That's not what we're shooting for here. But I recognize that there's going to be people that want to ride this that aren't necessarily comfortable riding on the roads, and that might be outside their traditional comfort zone. Along those lines, if you plan to do this loop and you're not comfortable on roads at all, riding roads with traffic at all, this probably isn't a realistic route for you to pursue. There's no way to do 275 miles in the Metroplex in a big loop all the way around without spending a good amount of time on public roads. If you're not comfortable riding in those sorts of situations, we'll give you a heads up now. This probably won't be the event for you to attempt it this time. What I have mapped out between here and River Legacy, there's a lot of it that I've never been on before, or I can't remember being on, so don't know what it's like. So, and a lot of there is some paved trail on this route, but a lot of this is going to be what's marked as bike routes on the regular roads. So we're going to scope this out today, according to what the maps say are bike routes through Arlington. Okay, long day today, but good stuff. Really, really, really stoked about the loop, what we got going here. The section between Craven Park and River Legacy is, I would say, solid. And believe it or not, there's actually some kind of cool stuff to see in Arlington. Basically, we figured out from River Legacy to Fort Worth to Grapevine as well. Have that all figured out. We're probably going to actually come up with two loops. One will be the whole kit and caboodle. It's probably going to be 325 to 350 miles of loop to get almost every trail in the area. It's going to be possible to lay that out. Realistically, that's not going to be something that very many people are going to be able to knock out in one trip in a single event. We'll probably do a tighter, more efficient loop that's meant to be done in a couple of days, 2 days, 3 days, for people that are really hitting it, with the understanding that normal humans, like most of us, can maybe do it in 3, 4 to 5 days. We would actually probably exclude Nob Hills and exclude Irwin Park as well. That'll give us a tighter loop, but also specifically both of those trails, to get to them, it's basically doing an out and back and up and back. That's a lot of extra loop miles just to hit one trail, and each of those trails are subject to being out of commission due to the weather more frequently and for longer durations as well. But the big total loop, that might be 325 to 350 miles of loop plus all the trails that are hit, I mean, that could probably get everything. So we're probably going to lay out 2 separate loops here to be done a couple of different ways, and then maybe even come up with some additional offshoots that may, like if somebody wants to get up to Johnson Branch or go out to Sister Grove or something like that, we may do those add-ons. We're really solid from Craven Park in South Arlington to River Legacy to Fort Worth, Gateway and Sansom Park, both of those, back to Grapevine, and in Grapevine with the shorter loop we'll probably do Horseshoe, then around the east end of the lake up to North Shore, whereas before we were originally going to go all the way around the lake and catch Nob Hills as well. I think we're going to take Nob Hills and Irwin out of the mix on that tighter loop. Got a bunch to do. Get ready for the massacre. Shutting it down now. We'll see y'all out there at the Midnight Massacre. Please do subscribe, like, share. We want you to keep up with us. We want you to post comments, give us your feedback, ask some questions. And hey, if somebody's got a hat, send it this way. We'll see y'all later. This is, talking about doing 2 birds with 1 stone. I want to talk about what we did come down here originally for today. Like I said, we were picking up our T-shirts, and want to give a big shout out to the guys at Legacy Merch. They've been taking care of us for years. They do fantastic work. One of my favorite partners for everything we do at every time possible. If you're looking for good T-shirts, print jobs, screen printing, hats, whatever else is out there, look up the Legacy Merch guys. I'm pretty sure it's legacymerch.com. They're local, they're cyclists. We're big fans of theirs, they're big fans of ours, we're all big fans of you guys, and I'm hoping you guys can be big fans of Legacy Merch. So if you need some help along those lines, talk to Matt at Legacy Merch and tell him we sent you. Well, I'm not sure what this one's going to be. Might just be some random ramblings. Show you all some of the excitement of being an event promoter. Getting our fantastic Spinistry arrows ready for our next event, Saturday night, Midnight Massacre, in the lovely Chateau de Spinistry. We like it long, hard, and dirty, but every once in a while, a nice smooth stretch doesn't hurt things. Going back to some of the stuff we talked about in 1 and 2, or come across in 1 or 2, some of our discoveries up to this point. I am completely unhappy with this baby face. The beard's coming back. Generally speaking, not a vain type of person at all, obviously. But there's just something about this baby face and these jowls that are coming in. You gotta cover it up with a beard. But there's just something about riding a bike in the rain. I guess I'm pretty childish, so it just reminds me of being a kid again. You can have a deluge, you can have a flooding situation, and then 12 hours later the roads are perfectly fine. But the reason most of these roads are still dirt roads is they are in areas that are prone to flash flooding and washouts and things like that. So that's why they're still dirt roads. Basically, they're runoff, taking you to the major tributaries, Elm Creek, Denton Creek, Elm Fork of the Trinity River, Hickory Creek, all those good things for this specific route. So that's what makes the train interesting. That's what gives us the dirt roads, is that they're basically the watersheds, the runoffs to get everything into the reservoirs around here. Louisville Lake, Grapevine Lake, Ray Roberts, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So if you want to ride dirt roads, always, not just with our routes, just be aware, at least in Texas, North Texas especially, but pretty much everywhere in Texas I've seen, if you're on a dirt road, it's a dirt road because it's likely to be prone to flooding, is generally what's going on there. So if it's a severe flooding event, that's usually not the time you want to be you don't want to be on a dirt road. Not necessarily for the mud of the road itself. It's just the low sections of that road might be underwater with a creek overflowing its bank, 45 miles an hour. So that's generally not safe. That said, usually this stuff runs off pretty quick. So if we do have a really heavy rain event, a really heavy flooding event, like I said, once that rain stops, usually within 6 hours, almost always within 12 hours, water levels are going to be close enough to normal that you can cross the low points. And we make a point to not route on the roads that are subject to be soupy messes. We try to stay on the hard roads that have the solid rock base, just so we don't have to scramble around last minute and reroute or wonder if somebody's stuck up to the axles in peanut butter mud or something like that.